8:30 and we have a quorum. I think there's a few commissioners not yet here. I know Mr. Smith is not able to make it today. So it looks like just about everybody else is here. So I'd like to call the Community Development and Housing Grant Commission meeting September 14th to order at 8:30. Can we have roll call, please?
Hausman.
Here.
Drafthorn.
Here.
Grammer.
Here.
Levin. Moore. Adamson.
Here.
Holbeck. Bogu.
Here.
Van Maren.
Here.
Smith. And Parrish.
Here. Great. And did you call Nicole?
Oh, and I'm sorry.
Laporte. It's okay. All right, and I would like to welcome Nicole. She's our newest member, so we're glad that you're here. Thank you so much. And so agenda number 2, we've got minutes for approval. Can I get a motion for minutes, to approve the minutes? So, all righty, thank you, Sue. A second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, changes needed? All right, seeing none, can I, all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We'll move forward. I'm just trying to get my packet up here. All right, public comment. Any public comments? No, and we've got so many people here. It's exciting. We don't usually have an audience, so except, well, for the grantees, they join us, so that's always good. All right, old business, nothing there, so we'll move on to new business. We've got 5.1 announcements and presentations, and we'll let the Community Development Division staff take it away.
Did you have a couple of things before we go into the presentation?
I just want to make sure I introduce the staff who are here today. So we have Eric Sicon, he's over on that computer over there. He's working with our ERA program. We're bringing someone else in to be doing that soon, so we're shifting people around a little bit. Bianca Gonzalez is over here. Faith Taylor, Brandon Kuiper over there. We have a few people in the audience that we've encouraged to come in just to see how the commission operates. They're potentially seeking grant funding next year for the next cycle that starts on October 1st. Applications will be open through January 4th, and then you hear about those next year when they come in to do those presentations. But we do have a couple of grantees that are here today to do some presentations. We have one request for administrative dollars related to environmental concerns that relate to the federal funding that's come down, or probably will be coming down. So those will be presented to you shortly.
Great, thanks. All right, and so is that, so then we'll go with 5.1A for the presentation? Okay.
When we start with Rush Creek.
We'll just flip a coin back there. I guess we lost.
Short straw.
Supposed to do this.
You can stay right there, that's fine, sure. Would you like me to open photo screen first, or video, or you let me know?
I don't know, where's he going?
The video, and then we'll look at some of the other ones.
Okay.
So this is just a very quick video. This is really, we're going to call this about low
Can I
quality.
interrupt for a second?
Sure.
Could you introduce yourself,
Oh, I'm so
please?
sorry.
Yeah.
There we go.
That would have been a good idea. Todd Stricker from Rush Creek Distilling, one of the 4 partners there.
Mark Stricker from Rush Creek, one of the 4 partners.
All right.
And I brought a sample bottle of what we bottled in this video.
And so,
Okay,
actually,
glasses. Circle of wagons, here we go.
Actually, the security almost took it from us.
I bet. No, I'm kidding. Don't open it. I'm kidding. Yeah.
we're not opening it.
Best CDHG meeting ever.
We should have brought more, I'm sorry.
No, this is 8:30. So, gonna hand
It's
this
5 o'clock
around.
somewhere, right?
We're gonna hand this around. If you look at it, just a couple things to pay attention. There's a label on the back. There's a label on the front. This front label and the bottom label go together. There's a label around the top. There's obviously a cork on it and this tamper seal. So if you guys want to hand this around, you're more than welcome to do that. And we're just gonna go through the operations real quick, and we'll talk very, very briefly on what we've added. So, and this is, we're actually putting the back label on first. A little bit out of operation what we normally do. The back label is going to go on. It's handed to the next guy to rinse the bottle. So far, nothing in the grant is new. Now, what he's doing is he's putting on the bottle on the loader. The loader is then sending it to the bottling machine, which you see we're now doing automatically. It takes about it's about a 12-second fill time. You can actually see the green. That's why I brought that bottle, just so you can see it. So the back label's on the bottle still. Now we're putting the cork on. This is also something the grant allows us to do as an automatic corker. And you can see instead of a person standing there and doing this, we now have a machine that does it. Then Mark gets his hands on it and he's putting the front label on. This is still manual, front label, the top label. Those are my arms and my very, very fast hands, because I've done about 150,000 of these. We're putting a top sticker that's on, and then now we got a guy that's going to put, and that's Jay, one of the other partners, about to touch it next. That's Jay. So sorry. So he puts the tamper on it, and then nepotism's live and well. It's actually a nephew who's sealing the tamper, and it's going around. So the last piece of equipment is basically the unloader. And at this point, Andrew is going to take bottles off of the unloader and put them in boxes. So these are and then that actually those pieces of equipment that we bought prior to that. But these are the operations, the filling, the corking, the conveyor systems that have allowed us to get to. We've built relationships with 2 people that we're co-packing for. It's almost 3. One's building, and so we're actually doing a lot more work with outside of Rush Creek products, and we're getting more into co-packing. So Mark likes these ideas. You want to talk about these? Or you want me to talk about
I'll
these?
talk about them, they're funny.
Okay, you will or I will?
Oh, you will.
Okay, good. So this is our original on the right hand side. That's our original bottler. You can see that there's rails and everything's automatic. You have to put bottles in there, and that's behind it is our new system. Just showing the old versus the new. The next one is I don't know what the next one is.
I'm sorry, I'm slow.
That's okay. Behind in the background is our new bottler, or excuse me, is our new corker. You can see that there's a automatic cork feeding system. We saw how it works compared to the old one, which you put corks in here and you go like this. So obviously an upgrade. This is actually a person and a half before. Now this is an eighth of a person, just to make sure it's full. Maybe get some other stuff. Perfect. Oh yeah, perfect. I love this picture. So our old tape machine and our new tape machine. I think that was pretty good. And then this kind of goes with it because it used to just be on a table. We'd slide things and poof. So go ahead. Oh yeah. Okay. This is even better. Old tape machine, new tape machine. This is a picture of kind of the whole line and where it sits in our facility. And it doesn't take up much footprint. This is only 1,000 usable feet-ish that it takes up. So it is compact. This is, we'll call it, this is the junior varsity version. We've upgraded from junior tackle. There is phase 2, which we have on order. We're buying a piece of equipment that'll put several of the labels on and the top seal. But there's still other parts to finish, to put bottles on and continue to increase the speed of this. So what you saw was probably 720 to 800 bottles an hour, maybe even less, 700 to 750 bottles an hour. The machine itself should be able to get up to about 1,200 bottles an hour, and that's what we want to continue to do as our co-packing expands. So that's kind of the front to end of that, and then Mark's going to talk about this a little bit.
So in order to have the designated space for the bottling line, we actually had to build an addition. So for your $50,000 grant, we actually spent $850,000 additional monies in the county. So for your investment, you've got almost $1 million in total investment in the county, and it's It's gonna help us expand, for sure. We've over doubled the space. And, you know, we did some improvements that need to be done anyways. We built a larger parking lot, paved it, outside lights. It's just a nicer looking facility because we had to put the addition on. And we thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I have one question for you.
Shoot.
The photo on the back, or the print on the back,
Yeah.
is that a location here in the county or anything?
No, it's a cheat.
It is? Just something scenic you like? I was just curious.
Yeah, this is Brush Creek right before it hits the Kishwaukee.
It's very nice.
That's where he built, that's where he buried the $1 million.
We don't know where it's at.
That's where you get your spring water or anything.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big trip right
Yeah,
there.
that
So,
Thank you again, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for coming.
yep. This is the last presentation before we leave.
All right. Ready
All
to
right.
switch
Wanna come
gears,
up,
Faith?
Brian?
Okay.
Ordinance. Want me to just go through photos or?
Yeah, I'm not sure which one's which, we can kind of. So my name's Ryan Ortman from Ortman's Runner Tavern in Woodstock. Our project was a 35 by 38 pavilion that took place of an existing structure that we demolished and then replaced with this one, obviously. This is kind of a picture. This was after the steel was up. For about 3 weeks, the steel was sitting there while we were waiting on some glue lamp beams, and this was day 2. So that's kind of in the middle of the project there. If you want to go to next. This is the finished picture here. This is an event we're having with Homegrown. They did a paint and sip at our place. So you can kind of see it's all dug fir, glue lamp beams, dug fir tongue and groove ceiling with the steel structure. The existing patio is still there with the wall. It's about 1,300 square feet that has been added, covered space. Next picture. This is what it looked like before, so you can kind of get an idea. It was a deck for the tenant above, and it just kind of happened to be a cover for a small outdoor bar. We always wanted to expand. Definitely after COVID, it became more necessary. People wanted to be outside, and this was a great opportunity for us to make that happen and put a larger structure out there. That's brought us a lot of new business. We did a wedding in July. We just booked another one for September of next year. Private events, retirement parties, class reunions have been really big for us, and just having that outdoor structure where rain isn't a threat anymore, and just kind of booking those things with that security has been pretty big. There's another picture. Here's another picture, similar to the one you saw before. Again, big structural steel beam going through the middle of it. Everything's kind of overbuilt, and structural engineer went above and beyond to make sure that thing's not coming down anytime soon. So, yeah. And there's an overhead view. I got up on a scissor lift and took an overhead shot of everything. So that's the whole beer garden. It's a pretty large space, and really impressed with how that new addition kind of fits right in. It looks like it's always been there. It makes the space look larger when you're there. And there it is.
Yeah, that was so.
Into the photos.
Yeah. And you had a lot of City of Woodstock support on this project too, right?
Yeah, historical preservation, that's something we had to go through, so they needed to approve everything, color of the metal roof, whole design. We wanted me to leave the metal beams untouched. Couldn't have them dipped or painted. Again, we kind of wanted it to look like it's been there forever. But they were supportive of the whole build, and we've seen some of them in there, and City of Woodstock have been supportive.
Sheriff's retirement party.
Sheriff's retirement parties, yeah, bunch of school teachers, retirement parties. Like I said, Woodstock High School class reunions, we just did 77 and 82 last weekend, 92 the weekend before, and then we're already planning events and stuff for next year, so.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Awesome. Any questions?
Thanks.
All right.
Great, thanks
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Thank you,
Enjoy,
guys.
everybody.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Faith, Hans, I don't know who organized that, but thank you so much for inviting them. I think that's fabulous.
Yeah.
And thanks for being here.
I always said it's nice when you can see the projects you
Yes.
funded, you
Yeah.
know,
Yes,
in kind of a material way, so.
yes, thanks so much for organizing that. Thanks for being here. All right, any others for 5.18? Okay, then let's move on to 5.1B. Invite the environmental defenders
Yes.
forward, please. Thank you.
We have handouts, instead of like an overhead presentation.
Yeah,
so you
sorry,
can
we're
see
not,
material.
we don't have
literature
the
here.
beautiful video, but we've got handouts that
No
we didn't get
worries.
for a while.
Yeah, so thank you very much for the chance to be here and talk with you. I'm Cindy Scruker, and this is Nancy Sheetzel, and we're both members of the Environmental Defenders Solar Energy Committee. And we're here with a request for CDBG funding for education and outreach regarding clean energy for low to moderate income families. The Environmental Defenders of McHenry County have been working in our county for 52 years to preserve and improve the environment for all living things. And part of our mission is to achieve the aim of environmental preservation and improvement. We provide the community with educational programs, volunteer action on pollution prevention, sustainable land use, and energy and natural resource conservation. So with the adoption of the Clean Energy Jobs Act, CEJA, here in Illinois, and the recent passage and signing of the Inflation Reduction Act by our federal government, there are now many opportunities for low to moderate income and Latino families in our county to gain financial incentives and benefits in order to become more energy efficient in many aspects of their lives. So thus we're requesting CDBG grant funds in the amount of $15,000 to inform and educate LMNI and Latino residents of McHenry County about all the benefits that they can utilize to improve their energy efficiency. And we hope to reach homeowners, renters, apartment dwellers, and farmers in these categories to let them know about all the benefits that can be available to them through CEJA and the Federal Inflation Reduction Act. And we'll do this through events planned to reach as many people as possible in these populations, and we will, of course, also make that information available to the general public of our county. So we plan to work with a contractor that we've employed this summer for our work with a coalition that's called Conversación de Conservación, and that's a collaborative effort of a group of environmental organizations with Latino groups in McHenry County, working to diversify our memberships and meet the needs of Latinos in the county when it comes to environmental protection. And we've been very pleased with this person's work and feel they're confident that they could do a good job on this project for us. Through our Say They Say work, we have strong connections with the Youth and Family Service Center of McHenry County and with Hispanic Connections Woodstock. And we work with them to plan meetings and events where we can share information about these energy efficiency opportunities with their constituents. And we also plan to work with other agencies in the county to meet making sure, low and middle income residents to spread this information. And then in addition, we plan to collaborate with the Citizens Climate Lobby in McHenry County. We work a lot with them already on these issues. And with the Illinois Environmental Council, we've been a longtime member of that statewide organization. They're working on the state level, and we will work with them to create materials that will disseminate. And plus, I think if we understood correctly, that the county may be able to help us out with some translation services, which would be a great help. If not, then our contractor we have in mind can help us with that too. We conduct the work beginning later this year and conclude within a year's time. And our $15,000 budget would include funding as follows. $4,800 for the contractor to lead the project. That's figuring about 20 hours a month. $5,000 for bilingual informational materials, $3,000 to enhance, essentially set up a page on our website with all this information, and also other educational AV materials. $1,200 for event venues, refreshments, publicity, $1,000 for staff support from Defender's office staff. We have a communications director and financial support. And then Nancy's got some information that she's going to share with you about some of the help that's available to people through the Inflation Reduction Act and through CDHG. And then she's going to just talk through that, and then we will just want to thank you for considering our request, and we'll be happy to answer your questions after Nancy walks you through these materials.
You bet. Again, thank you so much for letting us present this morning. Again, I'm Nancy Sheetzel, and with the Environmental Defenders. It was interesting to hear from Rush Creek this morning. They have been a Defenders member for a while as well, so it was fun to see what all they're doing. And so I'll go ahead and share some of the information on these sheets that we're giving you. You can see that we've already started collaborating with the Citizens Climate Lobby. This is information that they've already, on that top sheet, this is information that they've already pulled together about the various organizations in the state of Illinois where low to middle income and Latino residents can pull information in order to obtain some of these energy cost reducing benefits. And then also there's specific information here that we'll share with folks about the Illinois Electric Vehicle Rebate Program, which is just fantastic. Illinois, more information specifically about the Illinois Clean Energy Jobs Act, getting into detail about all of the benefits that are available there. And then you can go down to number 5 on the page. There's so much information. We haven't even gotten through it all yet. I imagine none of you have either. It's available about energy efficiency opportunities through the Inflation Reduction Act. So we'll be making use of all of that. Plus, as Cindy said,
and I just want to say that Pat Dekoff, who's listed here, who's with Citizen Climate Lobby, is also a member of our solar committee, so she helped pull these materials together.
You bet. And as Cindy already mentioned, I don't know if you're familiar with the Illinois Environmental Council, but they are a very active state organization, as Cindy said, that we've belonged to for a long time. And I just spoke with their, they have a new energy, I'm not sure what her title is. I don't know if it's energy, let's just call her their energy czar, okay? And she has been tasked with, through IEC now since she was hired in the spring, to start working on this very thing, and she's very eager to work with us on this. So the next sheet is the one that's called How Much Money Will You Get with the Inflation Reduction Act? And by the way, these are just sample bits of information that we pulled to share with you. There is so much more out there that obviously you would not want to be inundated with all of it. But I just thought this was such a cool thing, that one thing we'll be sharing with these residents in the county is this savings calculator that you can use on a personal level and for your household that will let you put in your zip code, your homeowner status, household income, and so forth. And it will literally share with you how much money you could obtain personally from the Inflation Reduction Act. And you can flip to the back of that page, and it gives you some examples. Household electrification incentives are listed there. And these, if you can imagine, if you're a low to middle income family or possibly a Latino family that's low to middle income, these are valid, good savings. So, and I think that's one of the things that this CDHG Education and Outreach Grant would be aiming to help with. The next item is it says the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, will deliver huge. And I just jotted in with my own handwriting up there at the top that I found it interesting is if you go to this website and you dig into this information a little bit deeper, it points out that the average Inflation Reduction Act household benefits in our particular county can amount to as much as $12,254. I mean, that is substantial for LMI residents and many Latino families. So we would be sharing that. And as Cindy said, we'll share this with the general public too. We tabled at a lot of events around the county, and it's not like we would hold this close to the desk for anyone. We would want to share this with as many people as we could. And then the next one is Senator Adjournment just gave a speech down in, oh gosh, I don't even know now where this was, doesn't matter, but about some of the benefits of the Inflation Reduction Act as it pertains to energy efficiency increases. And there's all sorts, I can't believe the dollar amounts here. I mean, these are just amazing to me. But I just chose one of these areas to highlight. If you go to where I put the star, it says this legislation allocates $8.45 billion to the Environmental Quality Incentives Program and this is specifically for farmers. And I grew up on a farm that the time I was growing up, all those centuries ago, it was considered a kind of a normal sized farm. Now it'd be considered very small. But I think, I would guess, we have farmers in the county that probably fit into the LMI category, both Latino and others. So I just pulled this information out. It's called the On-Farm Energy Initiative. And you can see on there, this is the last sheet we gave you. You can see on there that farmers can apply for help with increasing energy efficiency for lighting, for irrigation pumps, for grain dryers, greenhouse improvements, maple syrup evaporators, all sorts of things I would have never thought of. Insulation, building envelopes, and so on and so forth. So we'll want to share that information as well. And then the last thing we gave you is our summer newsletter. And you can see on the front that we're also in the process of building a solar for all community solar farm. There's been, I think the county has now approved like 6 community solar farms in the county. This one is slightly different. To be honest, we actually started out hoping to build a community solar farm, and our name was in the hat with the state, to get state funding, and our name just never got pulled from the hat. But we decided that it would make more sense for us with the small scale that we're on to go with a solar for all community solar farm. 70% of the subscribers for this farm, if it all progresses as we hope, there's always glitches that can happen and who knows, but if our farm progresses as our contractors tell us it should be ready for operation by next summer. 70% of the subscribers to our solar farm have to fit into the LMI category. So we would also, we haven't proposed separate money to share this information or get them to subscribe for anything. But in the events we hold, I think it would be appropriate that we would let them know that this type of community solar farm is being built in our county. It's the only one. In fact, statewide, it's being seen as a good example of a partnership between the solar energy companies and nonprofit. So, okay, so.
Yeah, well, and I was just going to add to that, that's partly we've learned about all these opportunities through the work on our own, towards our own solar farm, but there's going to be many more of these solar for all farms coming in the ComEd territory, and
We're the first, aren't we?
well, but you, a person who lives in McHenry County, can subscribe to a community solar farm or a solar for all farm anywhere in the ComEd, that exists anywhere in the ComEd territory. So we could be promoting this opportunity to low and middle income residents who not necessarily subscribe to our farm, but to any farm within the ComEd territory.
And Cindy, help me remember, I believe our contractor told us that for solar for all farms, there has to be proof that the subscribers will be able to reduce their energy costs, their electricity costs by, was it 50%?
By 50%,
Yeah, so their bill from ComEd, the bill would still come from ComEd because obviously the energy is sold to ComEd, but the bill from ComEd then for these low to middle income individuals would go down 50% if they're subscribers to one of these solar for all farms. So anyway, it's all information we would be eager to share with the residents of the county. Do you have questions for us?
Let me ask you a question. It seems like the information should be geared towards everyone. Is there any reason the focus is on LMI? And you also talked a lot about Latinos. Is there any reason they were being singled out?
Yeah, well, kind of a couple of things. One is some of these programs definitely provide greater savings or more targeted. Their target is LMI households. So that's one of the reasons why, we like to specifically outreach those communities, and we think that that fits with your committee's charge. And then I would say our interest in also reaching out to the Latino community is kind of an outgrowth of our effort, our Conversations de Conservación effort. This is why we call it CDHG for us non-Spanish speakers. But kind of we have a large Latino population in McHenry County, and it's part of our effort to include them in all the, information that we're providing to the general public. And I think, you know, that focus in recent years is because we wanted to make sure that we're also reaching them in addition to the general public.
Can I piggyback on George's
Sure, yeah,
comment?
go right
too,
ahead.
because that struck me too. I think you need, I'll call you to task here, you need to be careful on how you're presenting this. Like George, I heard the word Hispanic community all the time in conjunction with LMI.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I don't think
No, that
every
wasn't our
Hispanic family
intention.
is
Oh, no.
LMI out there.
No.
But
That's
thank you
the
for that
impression.
response.
You know?
Was that your concern too, or we'll make note of that?
Well, conjunction,
Yeah.
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 I never even thought about how there
Yeah.
would be some sort of a linkage. We just.
Right, so when you were talking, it was like, wait a minute, is all the Hispanic community eligible for this, even though they're not LMI?
Yeah.
And why are we singling out that?
Good point.
Rather than just low to moderate income? Because I know on this committee here, we've dealt with a lot of areas in McHenry County that are low to moderate income. They're not Hispanic.
Correct. Yes, I'm
Yeah,
very aware of that,
yeah.
especially a lot of apartment dwellers I know that we've worked with to try to get recycling available for them, where
Yeah.
traditionally it hasn't been available. So, good point. Thanks for pointing that out.
And you know, and that, you know, I think, you know, as we said, putting all these materials together, it doesn't mean that we're not going to put them out to the general public. So I guess we want your feedback of how, you know, how, if we move forward with this, how would you want us to describe our
Special
effort?
focus, yeah, well, there's special focus.
Can I, is this grant specifically for low to moderate income? I mean, most of our grants are, I know that. So I think that's why we're hearing this?
Yeah.
So this is very similar to the presentation that you had from non-for-profit resources. So this is actually a request for administrative dollars and planning dollars, which is part of our admin cap that is allocated to the community development division.
Sure.
So this is one of those situations where we're providing some support potentially, but we're seeking direction from the commission, and definitely our focus would be on that population,
Okay.
under 80% of.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because that's what most of our funds are for, so.
And that would be countywide, you know, so it doesn't matter where the client lives, so.
Right.
And thanks, Hans, for making that correlation to last meeting. Yeah, it wasn't
I think it was
last
last
month,
meeting,
but
wasn't it?
the last
Yeah.
meeting when Lori and Heidi were here. So that's where this fits in those administrative dollars.
We definitely want to bring it to the attention of the commission before we make any decisions,
Yeah.
but the thought here was with the big allocations made by the federal government that it offers us potential future planning opportunities. So we wanted to bring it to the body of the commission to sort of provide direction to our divisions to how to proceed.
I mean, maybe we have a question for you, because I think one of the things that we had thought about was the importance of providing these materials in English and Spanish. Is that something that you typically try to do with your outreach to low and moderate income households?
We do. So like our lead program, for example, or our rental assistance program, both of those were provided in Spanish. You know, because it's the second most common language in our county. I think the third is Polish, but we didn't provide it in Polish, but I'm sure we have people that can translate that. But so yeah, so that's very common that we would do that, just
Okay.
based on our demographics.
And just to respond to you two gentlemen too, I think that's partly why we included the information about Latino residents, because I knew that the county had, I think I understood correctly, that the county had offered a little translation help. And so I guess we knew from the get-go that we would be reaching out to Latino families as well.
I think you said that you, I guess, do you staff tables at events, or I guess if you could just briefly
To explain,
yeah.
explain what that means. Oh, okay. Well, for instance, tomorrow if you go to the, not tomorrow, Saturday, if you go to the Crystal Lake Farmers Market, there'll be two of our members there doing a project with kids, turning t-shirts into bags, and they'll be providing information then about watershed protection along with that, and some pollinator protection and so forth. Coming up, there's the Green Living Expo that is being held at MCC on the first Saturday of November. We'll have 3 tables at that event providing information about all things, you know, related to membership and defenders, and then our Water and Natural Resources Protection Action Team will be there with, again, providing everything that information about coal tar sealant dangers and just all sorts of information that way. We're at the county fair every year for a week long with tables that we share information with the fairgoers at that event. We're all over.
We're always at, when the Water Protection Division of the Planning and Development Department holds events like the Water Forum, we're always tabling there. Our Say They Say collaborative is going to be tabling at Mexican Independence Day this weekend, so.
And do you go into the schools at all, or what's your partnerships with the schools?
I'll explain that. The county, for having been a former teacher, I'm a returned teacher, so the county for several decades was the home base for what's called McSEEP, the McHenry County Schools Environmental Education Program. And then when there was the change in the regional superintendent, who was sort of, McSEEP was housed in the regional superintendent's office for that time. And space got tight, and the county looked for a change to occur there. So the county approached the environmental defenders and asked, and in fact, they had asked us several years ago, would we be willing to sort of adopt McSEEP? And we didn't have space at the time. We did, or we do now, we did when they approached us, this would have been 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. Yeah. And so we are now the fiscal agent and the home base for the McHenry County Schools Environmental Education Program. The county, as you probably, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but I bet you are, having been on the county board, and you probably are, Lori, that the county obtains tipping funds from the recycling center in Crystal Lake. Half those tipping funds every year go to pay the director of McSEEP. The other half goes to the health department, county health department. But anyway, we then, through grants and then through the McSEEP teachers, go out and they get paid. Most schools will pay them for their presentations at schools. So we work very closely with McSEEP now. They table at many of the places that we table. And what's the other thing? Oh, and now they're part of our education and outreach and membership committee as well. So there's a very close working relationship there.
Their offices are now in the same building as the defenders' offices on the Woodstock Square. They're up on the second floor.
Yeah, come visit us sometime. We'll give you a little tour.
Great. So staff, you're looking for just some thumbs up, a thumbs up for moving forward with the administrative dollars towards these items that Cindy and Nancy spoke about. Is that correct?
Motion or just direction?
I think it's just direction.
Direction, like
Yeah.
we did that last time. We just want a little transparency and let you know and get your kind of, your blessing to spend that funding in that way for community education.
All right, thumbs up? Thumbs up? Thumbs down, anybody? All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And just food for thought with the presentations that we heard a little bit ago, I'd love to invite staff to share kind of a summary, like now we're remembering the NFP and now we've got environmental defenders. So in that administrative bucket, perhaps somewhere along the way, end of year, whenever, I can never keep track of all the different end of years with funds, but maybe that would be a nice summary to share, and maybe you've done that before, and I just forgot.
It could be, during the presentations, I think that would be an excellent time to do that, is just to do kind of a reminder of, just very much like all the other applicants coming in, just to say we're sort of part of the pool, right?
Right.
Here's some of the
Yeah.
things that we've done with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'd be happy to do that.
Super, awesome. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so moving on to item 5.2, our mini funding round. I will defer to staff to take this item and let us tell us the direction that we're headed now.
Yes, and so we are allocating part of our treasury admin dollars here. And this is to provide supportive services, continued supportive services under the Treasury ERA 2 program, which is the one that continues past September 30th. There's just a small bucket of funds, well, I should say small, but it's smaller than most. So we have, we had estimated in our notice that there was about $80,000. I think we've come out with a figure of $72,000 that could be allocated today. So we've done 3 rounds of supportive services with this particular allocation because it was 15% of the original $7.2 million allocation. So it was about $1 million in administrative and service dollars for that particular program. We have 2 applicants that are here today to do presentations for, to compete for those funds. And then your direction on this is going to be appreciated here. So I guess we'll just get started, right?
Sure. What's the total of it available?
72,000.
Okay. All right, how about we have Helen Sparrow come up? Okay. You can either stand, you can have a seat here. Sure. That's comfortable.
We don't
here.
have a Hi. Hi. Hello. I'm Liz Hennicks. I'm Vice President of Program Services at Misc. You've seen me before, so, and this is. I'm Kristen Miller. I'm the Grants Manager at Misc. Also been here a couple times. So if I had known it was show and tell, I would have brought the 600 families that we have helped, and specifically the 170 some odd residents that we have been able to help in terms of, I know you've heard a lot about the eviction, kind of stabilization, and the rental assistance. We've provided over, to date, $1.7 million, just, this is Home of the Sparrow, in terms of our activity, providing support to those families. And we anticipate, given a couple of other factors, that we need about $625,000 of rental assistance to continue. One of the things that one came and asked for funding for round 1 and 2 is the need for case management. Money is great for helping with the rental assistance, but through our history, we found having that case management and that support and somebody to work with them to help problem solve and work with them, not only on somewhat the financial, because we work with our partner on some of that, but also more the emotional and social issues that the families are facing, especially during the pandemic. I think one of the things that we're seeing right now is in the very beginning, people were really impacted by losing their jobs or not being able to work, or their kids. And it's kind of shifted somewhat from that in terms of what I'm calling is just being able, the supply chain. We're seeing people getting laid off from their jobs. We're seeing that there's jobs out there. They're very low income jobs and not enough to sustain, as you know, living in McHenry County, what they're making does not afford them the rent. We're also seeing landlords. We have I think it's about 300 landlords that we've been working with. We're seeing them really kind of take advantage of some of this by increasing their rent significantly. I'm not talking $50. I'm talking $300 to $400 plus dollars. And so some of them are also requiring that they have three times available income for their income has to be 3 times what their rent is. And with the families that we're working with, and especially the families that we referred, these are the families that really had much more issues that they were struggling with as they kind of went through the pandemic, COVID, and now kind of the aftermath of that. And so I have 1 navigator and 2 case managers that have done an amazing job working with these families, providing intensive case management for some, and for others just kind of helping them through that process. And so we really need more than 72,000 to get us through that time with our current staffing. Given the amount of work that I still see needed, especially because of the landlords, even though we provided rental assistance, now the landlords are saying, I can get more, so I'm going to kick you out. And so we're having to relocate some of those families, be relocated. And so that impact is just, I can't describe it unless I brought all those families in, and you'd see the impact or the magnitude. But every day, we're seeing something that kind of rises up. And we've had wonderful partners with the Housing Authority, the development staff, the consumer credit, have been amazing partners to work with, to kind of work through and stumble through as we've learned about this program and kind of the needs. But I think we can all really, and just in my history of working at Home of the Sparrow, is that if we're not providing the case management, these families are not going to be stable. They're just going to wind up at pads, and we're seeing them winding back up at pads. We're seeing people that have run out of rental assistance that are coming, needing our shelter services or some of our other non-ERA funds, but some of our other funds that we get through HUD and other various places. So I think we're still facing that, and so
yeah, I like to let Liz kind of go first because she's the boots on the ground and her staff are the boots on the ground. We're working with the clients and seeing what the deal is before I jump in with just the boring, high-level money aspect of it. But the request that we had in front of you guys was based on the NOFO, which released the 80,000. If that's gone down to 72, we'll obviously adjust that accordingly. As Liz mentioned, we're covering in our request 3 of our staff who've been with us throughout the duration of this program, and as she mentioned, have done an excellent job working with those clients. We found that in all of our experience with all of our programs, continuity with your case manager is key for a lot of our clients as well. They get familiar with somebody. They build a trusting relationship. They know, they've got the history there and someone who understands where they've been throughout this process, from the rental assistance to now, as Liz mentioned, kind of these aftershock effects of the pandemic. So keeping these staff would be incredibly beneficial, not just to us as Home of the Sparrow, but really to the clients that we're serving. I'll also just mention that in the request, none of these positions are 100% funded by the funds we're asking for today. We are doing our best as an agency to stretch every single case management dollar that we have. As Liz kind of alluded to here, with our HUD funding, we've received a little bit of funding from the state, from their ARPA. We've kind of exhausted every avenue possible for case management dollars, including CDHG. Anywhere that we can get it, we've responsibly sourced it, and we are doing our absolute best as an agency to layer our funding, support our staff, make sure that we're fully staffed so that our clients are getting the assistance they need. But as Liz mentioned, the need is always, of course, always going to exceed the resources, but whenever we have that opportunity, then like we're presented with today, we need to make sure that we responsibly go after it for the benefit of our clients. So we will be supporting these staff additionally with whatever other resources we have available to us through other layered funding. And the request mentioned that this is through March of 2023. This is just kind of our projection right now with the funding that we have available. So getting another 6 months, of course, we'll be looking to continue that staffing if it, should the need continue past another 6 months. I think if the pandemic has taught us all anything, it's that you never know what's going to happen in any given month, much less 6 months from now. So we know that, in the next 6 months, these clients are definitely going to continue to need this assistance. So that's why we put that timetable in our LOI here. Should the need go past that, obviously we as an agency will do everything we can to make sure that we're not leaving anybody out to dry. We'll always make sure that the staff are there and that the services are there. And we'll kind of continue to keep an eye on what's becoming available, not just through the county, but through the federal government, the state government, anywhere we can get it. So just a little bit on the high level money side of things, but not to take away from anything that Liz has mentioned.
The money is very important. And the staff that we've had, even agency-wide, but these particular staff, I've been very fortunate. I know you've probably heard about lack of staff that are available for positions, especially within, I think, all, but we're seeing it as a trend with social service. These staff are on board, so I want to keep them on board because I think they have a lot to contribute and have done a lot and are really, came to work for us during the pandemic which was a very difficult time to begin with, and have stuck with us. So not only from, supporting and being able to, as an agency, to hire the staff that we need to has been really beneficial. So I really appreciate that too.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
As you see, we only have 72
Yes.
to give out today, and there's another agency looking for money. So you have a priority on these 3 positions so that we can make a decision.
Turn it to you. It's your staff.
Uh,
I'm gonna turn it to you. Sorry.
That's a hard question.
I know it's a hard question.
I think they're all, a priority. I don't know if I would use that money to spread out and maybe only do 2, or if I keep them all and have less time. I get it. I don't want to do that. I think the case management's really important. The navigators, I think the county and the housing authority and everybody else would say is just as important, because the application process is not easy, and they're also providing case management. And so, yes, I have to figure it out, but I would have to look at kind of the volume, and I don't want to do the caseworkers, to be honest with you, because it's 60, 70, 80 families that then wouldn't have that support, so. I know that doesn't really answer it.
No, it
but
doesn't,
I'll do the best I can with what I have. I think that's kind of what
Yes,
Chris
I
was
think,
saying.
I think as someone who works with Liz very, very closely on how we allocate our staffing, I don't know that we would necessarily commit to saying if we
This
receive
one,
less,
that one.
right, we pick
Right.
one person over
Right,
another.
right.
We may have to get creative, in terms of, like Liz said, maybe we look at spreading that out, partial funding, we'll look at the caseloads, see what we can do there. We are fortunate as an agency that our staffing is everybody's cross-trained, everybody's able to and willing to move and do what they need to do for the clients. So that's not to say that obviously we don't need the money, but we can, I think instead of us committing to we're gonna prioritize one person over the other,
I'm not saying a person, I'm saying a position.
Right, I think we would look at,
But the position impacts our families, and so I think
Right.
that's where we're struggling.
And these funds, if you got the full funds, they last until March of 2023.
that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct, yes, for
But not
the,
even at 100%.
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, it's, again, we're understanding that the need is always going to exceed the resources available. We're in unprecedented need and kind of, returning to baseline in terms of the resources that are available, and that's kind of what we, and I'm sure Consumer Credit would say the same, that's what all of us in the human services world are navigating right now, is that we're being tasked to do a lot more as kind of the funding levels return to that pre-pandemic baseline, but, the client need and the client levels have not returned, and they're not going to.
Especially with the families that were referred to us, because these are the ones who needed additional assistance than just having the application filled out, or, just going through that process. These are the ones that were identified very early on that they needed more intensive services. So good luck.
Thanks. All right.
Any other questions?
Yeah, any other questions?
Appreciate it.
Thank you all
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We have consumer credit counseling, a PowerPoint presentation for you.
Okay.
It's just easier for me when there's a PowerPoint.
Oh, sure.
So I think most everybody knows me, Donna Jacobiak, Executive Director of Consumer Credit Counseling. And thank you for the opportunity to be here to present this. I just put our mission in there to strengthen and empower communities through counseling, educating, and serving individuals in matters of housing and personal finance. So we've been serving as navigator and courthouse liaison for the Make Your Rep program since it began in March of 2021. And we're requesting $35,000 so that we can continue to provide the services through April 2023. We currently have 1.25 full-time equivalent counselors that is dedicated to the navigator role for the Nuclear Reactor program. One is just fully dedicated, and then our bilingual Spanish counselor takes all the Spanish clients, and she spends about a quarter of her time doing that. And they consistently have about 50 to 60 files in their caseload at any particular time. And we were talking to one of the local landlords recently, Prairie View, and at the time they were sending out 105 5-day notices. That's come down to about 48 eviction summons, but the counselor is working closely with that property manager to help those clients through the application process to see if we can help them get that funding. So that's what the navigators do. They're also helping with recertification. So every 3 months, the tenant has to recertify if they're still eligible for assistance. And then the courthouse liaison program, we do have someone at the courthouse every day in eviction court, helping people who need the assistance, who want to seek rental assistance. We're also there to help when someone is coming back to court. We work with closely with the navigators to find out where they are in the application process, and Judge Berg will ask us, what's going on with the case, and I'm sorry. That's okay. What's going on with the case, and when is the funding coming? It's good that we were there. One time I was there, and the judge asked, well, when will the check be cut? I was able to actually email Kim Albrook at the Housing Authority, and she was able to actually get the check cut, and the landlord was able to drive over to the Housing Authority and pick up the check right away. So it has been beneficial for us to be there. And this is just a report that we give to the court every month. This is through July, so in July we had 13 cases that came to us that we were working on in the court, and so far we've worked on 233. Now we are not asking for funding to cover the courthouse liaison program because we can get that funding from another grant. We're asking for funding through this grant to help continue to fund the navigator position. And that's what I said, when we're at the courthouse, the navigators just let us know what's happening with that case, and so that we can tell the court. Then they make a decision whether they can continue the case or if they have to move forward with the eviction. Kind of short and sweet. Thank you. And if anybody has
Do all evictions go to court?
Not unless they can figure it out. They can settle it outside of court.
Right.
And yeah, if we can get the application in, typically, I think if it's gone to a summons, there's a court date. Now, if we can get the file in and through and funded, they might stop that case before it even gets to court. But typically, what happens is it gets to court, we let the court know that they're working on the application, and then they continue it for 2 weeks or whatever time frame it is. It's very important for the tenants to show up, because if the tenants don't show up in court, the judge just sides with the landlord, and eviction is very quick then. If the tenant shows up and they work, they're saying that they're working through some issues, then they typically have a little bit longer time.
I have a question. Personally, I'm on acronym overload. What does MCEURAP stand for? I got the rental assistance program at the end. What's the other letters before that?
Emergency utility, and MC's for McHenry County.
Emergency
utility rental assistance.
I apologize.
No, that's okay.
Oh, it's for rental and utilities. It could be either way.
This is the one that's through the U.S. Treasury, the Economic Recovery Recovery Act, right? Now I'm getting my,
Yeah.
that's the part 1 and part 2, and this is the one that we've got a lot of the funding coming through the Housing Authority, but these are also 2 partners, Housing Authority and, Home of the Sparrow and
Yeah.
Consumer Credit Counseling. So it's been a big collaborative effort, and a lot of it is rental assistance with this case management, because we're trying to make sure people are sustainable in their rent and that they're stably housed. Then there was the moratorium on the eviction, and now that's gone, so we're seeing a lot of
A lot more.
evictions come through. And that's where they're going in, and the courts and the judge has been very good with the
It's really good.
liaison, trying to stave off some of these evictions. And then you've heard about the increase in rents and some of the landlord difficulty.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
So are we deliberating now
Yes, please.
with, and then is there a resolution, or remind me?
We'll put a resolution forward based on the decision today between Home of the Sparrow and Consumer Credit Counseling for the $72,000 for the 2 letters of intent.
I'm going to just acknowledge that I think it is, I need to remove myself from deliberations on this one and have to abstain from the vote. So I will facilitate the conversation, but I'm going to open it up to committee members to have the deliberations and determine how you'd like to move forward with this current funding round before us.
Do you think we should make a motion and then discuss? That's kind of the right, way to do it,
Right, yeah.
right?
Right, yes, I mean, yeah, that's why I was kind of confused about a resolution or not, but yeah, I think you're right. I think to go along with the formalities of the
Yeah.
Open Meetings Act, I would say yes, let's do, if someone wants to make a motion on the potential funding distribution, and then you can have a conversation and amend the motion as needed, if needed, and then do a vote.
I would like to make a motion that we split the money between the 2 agencies.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
And now we can talk about it.
There you go. Any discussion? Yeah, no, go ahead. Sue.
I gotta shut my mouth.
No, I was, with Larry not here, yeah, so, but I figure I can facilitate the conversation, and I'm not gonna.
Sue, I was leaning
contribute.
the same direction. Both programs are worthy,
Right.
and
And I mean,
assisting
both,
people.
both organizations have a navigator. So, and I know, all these positions are needed, but there's just not enough funds to go around, so I think we can give the navigator over to credit counseling or whatever, and then the Sparrow can give the money and they will work with that money, because they told me they would.
Any other?
Maybe just to clarify, so it's the credit counseling, I think the request was 35,000 and we're 72, so would 37 go to Home and Sparrow then, under that idea?
The request was for 32.
Was it 32?
Yeah, that's what I wrote down. I don't know. Was it 35 or 32?
35.
Well, it's 72 is what's available.
72,000 is available.
So,
35 and 37. 35 and
yes,
37?
we get 35, yeah, we
Okay,
get
so it was
35 and
35,
37.
okay.
That's all I want to clarify.
Yeah, that would work.
Okay, cool. I'm good with that.
And so I just, for Faith's understanding, so did I hear 30, say that again?
35 for credit counseling
Okay.
and 37 for Sparrow.
Do you want to motion it specifically that way then?
I believe so, yeah. So do I have to say it again?
Sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna amend the motion
There you go.
to, grant credit counseling 35 and homeless Bureau 37,000.
Second?
I'll second that one again.
All right. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none. Roll call on the vote?
Osman,
Yes.
Drapcorn.
Yes.
Brammer,
Yes.
Adamson,
Abstain.
Vogel,
Yes.
Van Maren,
Yes.
Lamorte,
Yes.
and Parrish.
Abstain. Okay. All right. Thank you, commissioners. All right, we've got 5.3, constituent participation, discussion regarding CDBG and home to create a process whereby more input from constituents is received prior to the PY. Is that supposed to be that?
Fiscal year.
Oh, fiscal year.
Program year.
Program year. The program year, okay. I was like, yeah. I need like a program year, all righty. 2023 hearings, awesome. So Faith, Hans, anything here?
All right. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, oh dear.
Do you want to read them, make sure?
Yeah, how about that?
All right, so we'll make this actually pretty quick. I've introduced the staff to you all, but we have just these remaining 3 items on the agenda, so I'll just go ahead and start with 5.3. So, as you know, we do our application process every year from October 1st of this current year to January 4th of the following year. That allows over 3 months for the applicants to put their applications in. One of the things you'll hear about a little bit later in the presentation, which we'll get to as another topic item, is going to be talking about thinking about the dates for the commission meetings next year. One of the things we have to do as a statutory matter is to submit an annual action plan to HUD. We have until August 16th of every year to do that, but that has to be approved by the county board. So the steps are, you make home decisions, you make CDBG decisions, those all get approved by the county board. Then a plan is developed based on that. Plan has to go out for a 30-day comment period, then it has to be approved by the county board. So there's all these steps involved. And it's definitely something that it's compacted in and just kind of runs all the way right up until the limit. So we want to sort of back the dates up so we're not kind of racing to do all of this stuff. But one of the things we want to do during the application process this year is put out surveys to the community regarding getting citizen input so that we can come to you probably through email, some sort of presentation, that kind of a thing, before you hear presentations next year. We just, it's kind of that time, you know, we did surveys before we created the plan and everything a couple of years ago, but I think this point would be good to get more feedback with the pandemic having happened for the last few years. So that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna do it during the application process. We would highly encourage our applicants to come in and still put their applications through, but definitely we want that citizen feedback as to what's important to support for applications. So that's that part. That's 5.3.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
Just want to make sure we get this one out
There
there
you
too.
go.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
So this is 5.4 on the agenda. And so we just wanted to point out, just so there's no confusion or anything, these are the individuals whose terms are expiring in December of 2023. So I know with our admin office, they're the coordinators for you all to put your applications through to them. So that'll be something that I would highly encourage if you want to participate in the commission moving forward, that the application gets put through sometime early next year, so that the process can just get started. But you 4 individuals are the ones next on the list of, you know, expiring, and so we want to make sure we communicate that early, so it's all out there. Yeah.
You know, there was really a change in the way that things had been done, where you used to get a call or an email notice, and now it's been put out on public comment, and it's kind of the onus is on you to remember your term. So that's changed, and we're wanting to kind of help bridge that gap.
Thank you. And so so this is the next cycle, so there isn't one coming this December?
We've already vetted that
Filled,
out. Yeah,
right,
we've got
okay.
those.
So that's
Our renewals now. so-
Right, okay.
And that's, I think I put in the email, the 19th is the official, but I'm pretty
Right.
sure it's all
Yeah.
cut and dry, so welcome for continuing commission membership.
Yeah. Okay. So 5.5?
All right, so as I mentioned earlier, we would like to back up the dates. So we're proposing to back up the dates a little bit, change it up a little bit. So January typically would be the time we do home hearings. We're proposing to do that in February. That would allow staff the time to evaluate the applications a little more further, especially with the home projects. Those can be really complicated. It gives us more time to do that. We would propose then the following month, we handle the CDHG hearings for 2 days on March 15th and 16th. And then we maintain a similar schedule for July. And then for September, we would propose to back up that date a little bit earlier. Typically, you don't have grant hearings this time of year, because we have ERA funds, we have that, but this is normally more of an informational meeting time. So this is what we're proposing to the commission for next year. Looking for feedback and direction on that as well.
Comments, questions, concerns?
Good to know.
Yeah.
And I suppose they can always change a little bit for whatever reason.
As in the past, these have been pretty much not all league meetings, right?
The ones that
I
are
think
the
in
longest.
March.
March, yeah.
March is all day.
With home, we don't
Yeah.
get as many applications, so, I do have a feeling that there'll be a lot of interest from developers for home funds, but, so those tend to be a little bit more complicated of a presentation because they're looking at a 54-unit development or something like that, so. But they're never that as many as the CDPG, nowhere near, so.
Like those 2 days in March, those are like all day kind of.
Pretty lengthy, we have like 20 applications.
Okay.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so as long as a project is eligible, we have them come to the commission. We'll notify you on the report, if something is ineligible, they can always come here. But if it's an eligible project, we typically wouldn't want them to present that. There's no point if it's not something that you could do under the regulations or in the plan. But otherwise, people always get a shot at coming to the commission for their presentation and your consideration. So that's why we get all of them.
If there's any flexibility on that 16th of March date, that one, I do have a conflict on that one, so. Not to have to change the whole meeting for me.
But it could always be the 14th, 15th.
That works fine.
Yeah, I mean, you have to just move it around that week.
Yeah, that works fine.
Absolutely.
I'm on the 15th.
Oh, no. Or we could even space them a couple days apart or something like that, if that works better. 14th and 16th, something like that.
Are you out?
Probably March 15th.
You're out the 15th. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, is what I'm thinking.
You've kept St. Patrick's Day, so that's good.
I definitely avoided that. There's a lot of Irish people. You're all Irish, I think.
Yeah, everyone's Irish.
Maybe the 13th and 14th then? Would that work? Monday, Tuesday?
Better for me.
13th, 14th.
Would anybody be opposed to 13th, 14th? Those would be different days than you normally.
Works for me.
Would we have a meeting spot? I mean,
Well, I think what we do
You
is
know.
we propose it early, and then
Enough.
we kind of have to work with county admin
Yeah.
on space. So, they want our dates as soon as we can
Yeah.
get them to them, and hopefully that will.
We do have conflicts with the, elections at times in this building, as you've experienced in the past. The Community Foundation has offered their space, if they're available, in Crystal Lake, we could do that too. That's
Such a
downtown.
nice space.
It's beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great
Really,
space.
really
yeah, we don't have to meet here if it's, yeah, that's true.
We have had meetings elsewhere. I think we had it at the Door Township building one time, I remember that a few years ago, probably 6 years ago.
And then I know staff also looks at the county calendar for other committee meetings. Sometimes
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Sometimes it's
Meetings.
impossible to, because there's so many, and committees are changing after November, so I know that you'll be mindful of what else is scheduled that week. So,
The idea is we would have some time to work it out between now and March and be able to kind of confirm that. And, you know, we've got the technology too with the Go Live and for the meeting portals to consider as well, so. This will give us some time, but we can certainly propose 13th and 14th instead.
Well, we start the conversation here, and it's helpful, but with CDBG, we definitely want this kind of space too. We want more room, because there's just a lot of applicants, so they like to be in the audience.
Okay, great. Thank you, staff. So that brings us to item number 6, members' comments, miscellaneous business, and announcements. I know I'd like to share something, but I'd like the rest of the commissioners to go first, if anyone has anything. Okay. Well, I realized this morning that I think this is going to be my last CD. I'll get it right before I read it, right? CDHG. Commission meeting. You may or may not know that I have chosen not to run again for the county board. So I am chair of this commission because I am also chair of PHCS. That's the Public Health and Community Services. You talk about acronyms. PHCS committee. And so you may or may not recall the way that the board is set up right now is that the chair of PHCS is also the chair of this committee, and then the chair of PED is who is Larry Smith. Right now, anyway, is the vice chair of this because both of those committees, then P&D and PHCS, are involved with the community development department, and so. You may know there's going to be lots of changes. All the board has to run, and I know many of the current board members are running, although many of them are not. So anyway, my intention wasn't to give you an org chart of the board, but I want to just acknowledge that I had no idea that when I became PHCS chair that I was going to be chair here as well. And I just want to let you know that this committee has been one of my most favorites. So I really appreciate having the opportunity to work with all of you. I know most of our time together was Zoom. So that was fun, but I want to thank you for your service. I know some of you have been part of this committee for quite some time. Others are new. So I really appreciate your service, and I hope that you'll continue. I want to thank staff. I hope you know how much, because I've conveyed it before, but I have really enjoyed working with all of you, and so I will acknowledge that there will be some parts I will not miss as a county board member, but I want to let you know that being involved in this committee and what we do and who we get to help, I will miss, and perhaps you might see me again sometime in the future after I take a little break from government service or whatever it is. So again, I just want to thank all of you. It's been a pleasure, and I wish you all the best in your future opportunities to support the community and the things that happen here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, I didn't print off the last, so is it number 7, adjournment? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So
All right, Sue, second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, anybody opposed? Want to hang out? All right, have a great day. Have a great day, everyone. And look,
Creek left, so.
we're done before 10.
Yes.
Good boy, Mary's.
Yeah, they should have left the vodka.
That was kind of a fun icebreaker in the meeting.
That was.
You had asked the questions to the environmental fund. I was going to ask the same questions.
Thank you both.
It sounded like word
Oh,
language.
really?
It's like-
Nice to see you, Peter.
Because made it here, that all this been, all that teams were in the water box.
Yeah, I'm glad you created that awareness, because I know that they didn't mean it, and we know they didn't mean it, but yeah, just the way that it was,
Yeah, sure.
the way they were saying it.